It has gone wrong, hasn't it? The Khan went on. You have completed your great mission, but there are more sorcerers than ever. Horus has sponsored them. Lorgar has shown them new tricks. If Magnus has not already made up his mind, then he soon will. And then you will be surrounded. You've destroyed the Librarius, only to find the witches are now untrammeled. They played you well. You have done their work for them, and soon you'll be dragged into it yourself, as warp-sick as they are. You think that... I see it perfectly. Magnus showed me. Your legion may be free of it for now, but the change will come. You made your pacts, and now they will come to collect. You fool. Mortarion stiffened. His eyes blazed with anger for a second, quickly quelled. You do not, and that is why you came to find me, said the Khan. You've run out of friends. Who will stand with you against the Aether Weavers now? Angron? What an ally. Kurz? Good luck. The Khan gazed at Mortarion disdainfully. You've tasted the fruits of treachery and found them bitter. Don't drag me into your ruin. You're on your own, brother. Again, it's Lore-Master Shroud with the Frost and Fish channel, coming with you with another straight from the page. We're going to talk about Scars this week by Chris Raitt. I really was trying to avoid doing Horus Heresy books for a while, and I'll tell you why. They require a little bit more general knowledge of the setting to sort of get into. Think of them like a little bit more advanced reading. If you were to think of this as like an English class, you need a pretty good grasp of the setting to talk about them. And to be honest, they're not uniformly good. There's a lot of highs and lows. There's some books that are so bad in the Horus Heresy line that they've effectively retconned out, like Battle for the Abyss. Ugh, so terrible. But Scars is amazing. There hasn't been a lot of White Scars novels in general. It's not a very popular legion for the Black Library until Chris Raitt came along. He basically started with, give me just a second, guys. I am working off of my laptop again. I haven't had a chance to print my notes. He's had his fingers in a lot of good works. He basically runs most of the Space Wolf fiction now. Between him and Aaron Dembski-Bowden helps out a little bit, but he did the Space Marine Battles book, Battle for the Fang. Highly recommend it. I guarantee you we're going to cover it on this series at one point. He's done... for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, if you guys are familiar with it. He wrote the last two books in the War of Vengeance, which are excellent. And he's really, really good author. I would put him up there with Aaron Dembski-Bowden as far as writing is concerned. One of the reasons that motivated me to do Scars was that Bell of Lost Souls, earlier this week, when this video was cut, did an article about top 10 Primarch quotes, and it was terrible. I mean, it was garbage, you know, just the dumbest things. Death is nothing compared to Vindication for the Night Haunter. That's easily the least interesting thing he ever said in any piece of fiction I've read from him. There's just so much more that's really accessible. And there's a lot of really great quotes in Scars. The reason I think it's such a solid book is that it peels open like a Primarch character really well. It gets the point of view really well, and it's not of a Primarch that's very in the box and by the books. What I mean by that is like Guilliman, Horus, who have very identifiable goals, who have very established character settings. Even though the White Scars are very critical to the setting, in that, you know, they were instrumental in winning the Battle of Terra by taking back the Lion spaceport. They don't get a lot of love, and the Khan is just always been this mysterious figure who hates Eldar and likes to go fast like Sonic. Well, in this book, you see his motivations laid out, and it's really important, not just for character development, but for the development of the meta. He's the first Primarch to ask why all of this even happened to begin with. Not just, you know, the actual conflict of the heresy, but like the root causes. Like how did the Emperor not know that walking away was going to cause problems? What was so important that he had to leave the Crusade and go back to Terra when he wasn't... The Emperor's not dumb. He knew clearly that it was going to lead to infighting. He knows that not all the Primarchs like each other. He may not have banked on chaos getting in the way, but it doesn't matter. He should have known better. And the Khan is the only one to really think about this. It becomes the beginning of an arc that starts in Brotherhood of the Storm, which is a short story preceding Scars, and continues in The Path of Heaven, the book after this, which, believe me, we will review soon. It's equally good, and it's actually a bit of a tearjerker, in my opinion. He characterizes people so well that when they're taken away from you, you get a bit of loss out of it, and I think that's just the mark of a good writer. Well-rounded cast of characters, both humans and transhumans, which, not just that, but able to do that and still show the divide between the two. It's great work. It was originally released as a serial, and the format lends itself really well to the writing. Each serial chapter basically builds on the other, and it creates this mounting tension that ends climatically. The quote I read at the beginning, and I'm going to finish this with a quote too, because again, there are just so many quotable parts of this book, but it just builds to this fantastic finish. You just can't beat it. Possibly the source for the beginning of the Blood Ravens. I don't want to get into too many spoilers here, so spoiler. You've got 5 seconds before I start talking about it now. So this might actually be the genesis of the Blood Ravens, the chapter in all of the Dawn of War games. A character shows up in Scars that it's very clear that they're trying to connect him to the Blood Ravens. Now, there's been some stuff since then that's kind of put that off, but for now, it's safe to assume that if you like the Blood Ravens and you like the Dawn of War games, you need to read these books just to get an idea of where they might possibly come from. It's really interesting. So I highly recommend reading Scars. One of these days, I had a couple of friends ask me for like a required reading list, and I might cut a video just for the Horus Heresy of like what to read to get the most out of the series. This is definitely one of them. I mean, you can start with Scars and go and really, just breeze through it. It's just a really good standalone read, in my opinion. So I'm going to finish up with a quote. Give me 1 second to peel up here. Alright. You say you see the truth, snarled the Khan. You know nothing of the truth. If you had done as I had commanded, I would be telling you of it now. Instead, I will only tell you this. The Legion is the Ordu of Jagatai, and none bear their blades in it save by my word. Thus it has been since we first fought together on the Altok, and no power of the universe, be it Horus or the Emperor or the gods themselves, will ever change that. Hassek's eyes stared wildly, and blood foamed up at the corner of his mouth. His empty gauntlets flexed impotently. You were given freedom that no other lord would countenance, said the Khan, his voice heavy with bitterness. Thus do you repay me, and thus do I strike you down. Fantastic. Chills up the spine, guys. You really should check this out. As always, I appreciate you checking these videos out. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, like and share, so on and so forth. Happy wargaming, and as always, stay frosty.